All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. We appreciate that you have chosen to stay with us here on Weekend Edition. Tonight, we are discussing contraception on her say, and this coming Thursday, the 26th, we'll be celebrating World Contraception Day. This is a day that is set aside to create more awareness on contraceptive use. Our guests are already in studio. Just right next to me is Dr. Isabella Katanu, and with her is Margaret Nyambura, who is the advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and Nyambura will be helping us understand the legal framework of this topic, of course. So thank you so much, all ladies, for being part of this discussion. Now, due to the interest of time, you know, we all know right now in the country that contraceptives is the use of drugs or surgeries to prevent pregnancies. But for the benefit of our viewer who is maybe hearing this for the very first time, Isabella, what does contraceptives encompass?
First, I'd like to redefine contraception. Mm-hmm. Contraception is the intentional prevention of pregnancy. Can be medical or through behavior. Mm-hmm. So behavior, even abstinence is part of contraception. Mm. Yeah, and then medically you can use a device or a procedure. Yes, that's how we'd like to define contraception. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily just encompass drugs alone. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Abstinence is also part of contraception.
Yeah.
I hope they got that right. Now, Nyambura, how would you explain contraception to somebody who is hearing about this for the very first time, especially those in rural areas who are not so much exposed to contraceptives? How would you describe this to them?
Thank you for that. Am I allowed to switch languages and speak to the person in the village?
Yes.
Okay, sure. Yani ni njia ya kupanga uzazi. Right, so I'd like to admit all the definitions that she has given. Safe to say that contraception is just one of the methods of family planning. So family planning generally is kupanga uzazi, and that is inclusive of what the other person also helps you to do. But contraception now is just one of the methods of family planning, right?
Dr. What are the options available in terms of contraceptives in the Kenyan space?
We have a lot of options. We have hormonal methods, we have non-hormonal methods. From hormonal, we have injectables and the pills that you can take orally. And I'd like to say, you just don't decide today I want to do injectables, tomorrow I want to do oral contraceptives. You need to see a healthcare provider to help you to individualize the needs. Because everybody, just because it worked for you doesn't mean it will work the same way for you. Yes. So from the hormonal methods, the orals, we have the combined oral contraceptives. It has 2 hormones. We have the progestin-only contraceptive, the progestin-only pill that only has 1 hormone, that is the progestin. And then for the injectables, we have the commonly available one is the DMPA, the depot, commonly known as depot, the one that is given 3 monthly. And for the non-hormonal methods, we have the copper devices, which are different. We have one that can go 12 years, another one can go 5 years. And then we also have barrier methods, use of condoms and use of spermicides, but commonly in Kenya, it's use of condoms. Yes. And then we have other natural methods like the calendar method. It's also part of contraception. And we also have the lactational amenorrhea method, where a woman who is breastfeeding has to meet a certain criteria for us to say she's using contraception. Yeah, but those are the commonly available ones. They're available in most public hospitals, even level 3, level 2 hospitals. Yeah.
You've mentioned something quite interesting, that is the hormonal and non-hormonal, and I'll be requesting you to get into more details in that later on. But Nyambura, I want to understand, do you think the women in this country are well knowledgeable when it comes to matters contraceptives?
To be honest, there's a mix. So there is a need for education on the available methods, as Dr. Isabella has detailed them out, and also to know that what works for her might not work for me, what works for you might not work for me, as opposed to speaking to your neighbor and finding out that she has taken on a method and it is helping her to keep off from putting on the extra kilos. It would be great to approach a healthcare provider and have them individualize your needs, as Dr. Isabella put it. So one, there is a gap in access to information on the available methods. 2, even just, if we are approaching the access to information through an integrated health service, where at the point of delivery of the service is where you also receive the information, then the absence of a health facility might also mean no information and no service altogether, right? The other thing is also, so there's people maybe in the rural areas who probably would have to access the health facility and at that point get information on this. Now we are having the introduction of community health promoters, community health assistants, community health volunteers, under what the government is now introducing under the Primary Healthcare Act. I think we have seen them often. We are about to see a little bit more of them because of the now rolled out program under the Ministry of Health. So you will see them with backpacks. They're probably also going to be giving you some options that are available. I think there's even some self-injectables that are there. So it's not enough to just have information, because then at the point of getting the services where the information is given. But we also have people now who are able to access the internet or access material that is in writing, but most often than not the internet or social media, where you have had organizations like in civil society that are supporting the government to bridge the gap in access to information and the available methods, and therefore they are able to have some options at their disposal. So you could go out of your way and seek the information, or the government could provide the information at the point where somebody has gone to seek the service.
All right, Dr. Now take us through the hormonal and non-hormonal contraceptives. How do you choose a particular type of contraceptive for someone?
Okay, thank you for that. For the hormonal contraceptives, we can, like I earlier stated, we can have injectables, we can have orally taken, or even an intrauterine device, though it's not commonly, it's still there, the Mirena, it's still there, but it's not commonly available in Kenya. Yes. And then for the non-hormonal method, we can classify them further. We can include other classes like the barrier methods and the natural methods, and also the intrauterine copper device that is non-hormonal. The mechanism of action is non-hormonal. So for the how I decide what I want you to have, I have to know your medical history. Like for example, if you've ever gotten a clot in your body, or it has ever embolized, I'd not advise you to use the combined oral contraceptive. It's available in every pharmacy, the 28-day pill. But then I'd rather give you, let's say, a progestin-only contraceptive. And the efficiency is the same, 99.7% for the combined oral, 99.4% for the progestin only. But then only that for the person who has ever had a clot in their leg or something, I'd not give them the combined. So in that case, I'm trying to say I'd choose a contraceptive method for you based on a lot of things. First, your weight, because a combined oral contraceptive is more likely to cause weight changes, can be lost or gained, as compared to the progestin-only contraceptive. So I have to know your medical history. I have to know, I cannot give a combined oral contraceptive to a mother who has just started breastfeeding, because it reduces breast milk production in the first 6 months. So you have to be past 6 months. But then I'd give you a progestin-only contraceptive. So there are so many things. That's why I am insisting, don't do what your neighbor is doing. You need to go to a healthcare provider. I'm not saying a doctor, a healthcare provider, anyone who has been empowered to offer education on the same, for you to get to choose the one that is good for you. And then we also have the injectables. We have the depot, commonly called as depot by people. The one that is given 3 monthly. It's an intramuscular injection, can be given through the arm. We call it deltoid. But then you can also give it subcutaneously. Like I give you to do it yourself. I teach you how to do it. And then, so that is really good for the people in the rural area, because the fertility rate in the rural area is still high. We can see a very huge discrepancy between the urban and the rural area. So we are wondering, is it the availability or the accessibility of the contraception? But then if we can give you the self-injectable one, like the subcutaneous one, that would be good. So for the non-hormonal contraceptives, we have intrauterine copper devices. They are different types. You can have one that goes up to 12 years, another one that goes up to 5 years, and another that goes up to 4 years. Most commonly available is 12 and 5 years. So depending on your need or your desired family size, you can just say, I think I want to do the 12 or the 5 years. Then you can also do the surgical approach, that is tubal ligation, if you feel you've already achieved your desired family size. Yes.
All right. But I just hold that thought. But now, Nyambura, would you say that when it comes to contraceptives, ni kubahatisha tu? Maybe nitapata ile ita work for me, maybe I will not get it. How does it work really?
Okay, so by kubahatisha tu, do you mean that it's something I can get over the counter?
No, not really. Like I would use this, maybe Depo, and then it doesn't work for me. Then the next time I go for pills, I go for IUD. How does it work really?
Okay, so just like with any other instance where you're seeking health advice because one drug has not worked. I think every time we go to hospital, even in the instance of a common cold, and let's say you've been taking the same medication, you're having no change in, you're not getting any better. You have to go back. So it says, in case of any side effects, seek medical advice. So you go back to the same person who prescribed that method so that they figure out why it wouldn't be working for you. And then maybe they prescribe another one. We also see that with other situations, even for people who are on antiretroviral therapy. They start on one regimen. In case it doesn't work for them, they go back to the health facility and they get another one prescribed for them. Right.
How is the uptake of contraceptives in Kenya in 2024?
Oof, that's an interesting question. So let's be honest. Better for married and women in unions as opposed to unmarried women, adolescents, and young women for this reason. So, you know, before you set up any service provision, especially if it's from the government, because we are assuming that we are not looking at the demand that is met by the private sector, right? So there has got to be a policy that addresses the need, so that the policy addresses budgeting, and then from budgeting, then you start seeing the item in the facility. So we have got in place right now the Kenya Reproductive Health Policy, supposed to be on for the period of 2022 up to 2032. So now this policy does not foresee a Kenya where the unmarried woman or the adolescent girl who has already reached age of puberty and can therefore conceive, or the young woman, the young unmarried woman, any unmarried woman, the adolescent who has already achieved age of puberty and can therefore conceive, would seek a service related to contraception or any of the methods. So for this reason, if you don't foresee them in the policy, it means the following legislative efforts are also not going to capture that need, and therefore you will not see any disbursements from Treasury that are thinking about that demographic when the decisions on dispatching is being made, and therefore you find only married women, that demographic, are the ones that are getting the service. Two, there's also stigma related to seeking contraceptive services. I mean, we could speak about all the barriers the whole day. There could be religious ones, there could be cultural ones, there could even be just societal ones. For instance, where I'm telling you that, please usichukue family planning or don't take contraception because utanenepa, right? Or it's not going to make you conceive now later on when now you want to conceive. Or even if you have somebody who was unfortunate enough to have died as a result of taking on a method of contraception that doesn't work for them, and therefore word on the streets becomes this thing kills, because then there was a gap in information, and therefore the person unfortunately lost their lives. The other thing is also that there is the gap in access to information, and therefore people also don't know where they can get the services. So for instance, for the adolescent girl, I know we want to bury our heads in the sand and say that the age of sexual debut is what it is or what it is not. But if a possibility of conception can happen, then that is also a potential person for contraception. And to be honest, if you deal with reproductive health care providers, they'll tell you that the parents of adolescents and young women take them to the facilities for installation of whatever contraceptive method for reasons best known to themselves. But now, because there is a barrier in the policy because it doesn't foresee that the young person is going to come and seek the service or the information related to it. Therefore, I place the requirement that you have to come accompanied by your guardian and your consent. Now, here is a balancing act. I say that for this reason. If you're a child, your best interests are probably in the hands of your guardian, and that could be your parent or whoever it is who has custody over you, right? So for that reason, then the decision making is on the parent, the guardian, right? So if the guardian doesn't think you need to get it, you're not going to get it. If the guardian doesn't think you should get it, now a decision on whether the young adolescent and the young person has got any business getting contraception, that's on a case-to-case basis, but we are speaking facts here, right? So other than just the societal, cultural, even just the fact that if you don't plan for it in the policy, then there's no economic backing that goes into it. Another thing is government priorities when it comes to planning. So for instance, I can put it this way. For the financial year 2021-2022, and you could just go online right now and Google Monanchi budget. So it's like a summary, like a 7-page summary of the government's priorities for the year. You'll see there's an amount of money that went into family planning and contraception. The following year, 2022-2023, kindly just have a look and see whether it's going to be there. But I assure you, for 2024-2025, there has been no intentional effort by the government to plan for family planning or contraception. But because priorities have shifted to universal health coverage, setting up the Digital Health Act as well and everything that it presupposes. But maybe now that we are having a Primary Healthcare Act, and one of the services that we foresee to provide, or the government foresees to provide under the Primary Healthcare Act, is family planning, because it's considered a primary healthcare initiative, right? So maybe the costs for provision of the service is covered under primary healthcare, but only time will tell.
We will be looking out for that, indeed, Nyambura. Now, World Contraception Day 2024 theme, which will be next week Thursday, is a choice for all, freedom to plan, power to choose. Dr. Why is this important?
This is important because you get that some women with some conditions fear contraception. Like, I feel like I have hypertension and maybe these contraceptive methods are going to worsen my condition. I have systemic lupus, SLE. So I feel like this will not be okay for me. But then, yeah, contraception is for everyone. It's for everyone. There's always a method for you, no matter your condition, even the chronic illnesses. There is a method for you. And then the freedom to choose. From a medical point of view, we offer contraception to all groups, from menarche. Menarche is the first time you go to your period, up to menopause. It's only the legal part that can come in. So from our point, we need to educate the person and then have them choose. Tell them autonomy, tell them the benefits and the risks, and tell them. Yes, of course, you can offer your opinion as a healthcare provider, but then freedom to choose. You give them the options that are available for them, depending on their condition and on their age, or other the circumstance and their desired fertility. So yeah, I think that covers the theme. Yeah.
Of course, when you say contraception is for everyone, we've also had this conversation where there are now contraceptives for men. Take us through that.
Okay, there are contraceptives for men. And actually, we also want to bring men on board in the topic of contraceptives, because, allow me to divert a little bit. One of the cultural limiting issues is that women are not empowered. We've reached a level of empowerment in 2024, but then we still have women that are not empowered, and men are the decision makers in the house. So we also need to talk to men about the myths and misconceptions of contraception, so that they can also enable their partners to take up contraception. Yeah, because we find that we have men who are not pro-contraception because of the myths and misconceptions out there, and then so the woman is now pregnant and they have a lot of kids. The quality of life for the kids goes low and so on. But then in that case, we also want to bring men on board for the contraception. We have the barrier methods, the use of condoms. We have a vasectomy for them if they've already reached their desired family size. Important to note is that these surgeries, that is bilateral tubal ligation and vasectomy, you're not guaranteed of success if you change your mind. So we only try and offer them to people who are already made up their mind and they already have the desired family size. There's ongoing research for more contraceptives for men, and we still don't have it in Kenya.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, Nyambura, does the legal system in Kenya promote and also recognize the male contraceptives?
One question to Dr. Isabella, and then I can answer it. Vasectomy is available in public facilities?
It should be.
It should be?
Yeah.
Well, I know private facilities that offer vasectomy. Are there any other known male contraceptive options other than the condom, barrier methods?
No, other than the barrier methods and the coitus interrupters, commonly known as withdrawal.
Yes.
So vasectomy is not well talked about in Kenya?
Yeah.
Okay.
And also has often been challenged because of success rate. So you approach health facility X, you get the service done, it's not successful and there's a conception, and we've seen several people move to court to sue health facilities for, is it a surgery gone wrong or an unsuccessful one, because then if there's a conception, it means the surgery was unsuccessful. So maybe for one reason or another, they might not be popular, also because of social-cultural beliefs, also because of the belief that because you're the one who is likely to conceive, the onus is on you to take any methods, if any, to prevent the conception. Right.
All right. Now, I want to also understand a link between chronic diseases. Let's narrow it down to maybe endometriosis. What is the link between endometriosis and contraceptives? Is there a way or a manner in which contraceptives help relieve pain for those suffering endometriosis or any other chronic illness?
Yes, we can use contraceptive methods, particularly the pills, or rather the implants. I forgot to mention about the implants, but we'll get to that later if time allows. Yeah, we use them to medically treat other issues, or rather manage and relieve symptoms. For example, uterine fibroids, and sometimes they can cause a lot of bleeding. We use them to regulate bleeding. If someone has irregular and heavy bleeding, we can use the combined oral contraceptives to regulate it. Even for acne and hirsutism, the facial hair, the beard, we can use oral contraceptives to regulate it. And yeah, for endometriosis, we use it to relieve the symptoms associated with it, and also for the polycystic ovarian disease. Yeah, so we can use contraceptives not just to plan pregnancy, but also to help with hormonal balance and managing other conditions. Yeah.
All right. Now, because of the interest of time, as we gear towards World Contraception Day, of course, next week, what message do you have for women out there, Nyambura?
So please approach, if there is need to conduct any method of family planning, please approach a health facility, get information, be guided by the health service provider to make a decision that works for you, your body, taking everything into consideration. I think there's options that cover all forms of, the forms that Dr. Isabella has mentioned could cover people from all backgrounds, cost-wise, also because of lengths, preferred lengths. So for instance, if you only want it for short-term or long-term use, I think there's also options that cover people who feel like their religious backgrounds do not support the uptake of certain forms. There's methods for everyone. At the point where you access information, then you're able to make a detailed choice, right? So, sorry, an informed choice. And after an informed choice, if that doesn't work, go back to the same health provider and let them change for you the option. Yeah.
Of course, Dr. as we close, what is your message to the young women out there?
My message to the young women and everyone is that there's an option for you, that there's an option for everyone, despite the condition, despite the age, despite whatever could be happening. Cost-wise, as Nyambura said, accessibility-wise, we can give you a long-term method or one that you can actually inject on yourself. Yeah, there's an option for you, and you should feel free to approach any healthcare provider to help you get a method for yourself. And you should all feel empowered. Yeah.
Of course, there's so much more to talk about when it comes to contraceptives, of course, but time is not on our side, and I beg to close it at that. Thank you so much, ladies, for making time to grace her say tonight. We hope to have this discussion later on the side. Thank you so much for watching. That brings us to the end of our discussion tonight.